Welcome to Issues and Answers with Diane Kinderwater. Issues and Answers is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. And now, Issues and Answers with your host, Diane Kinderwater.
Welcome to the program. I'm Diane Kinderwater. Election time, November 4th, of course, early voting, absentee voting, all of that is perhaps going on right as we speak. And again, it's our responsibility to have our voices heard. And of course, the best place is at the ballot box or to run for office yourself. Like my guest today is Teresa Garcia. She's running for City Council for District 3. Those candidates who are running for District 3, we invited to be a part of this program. Those who have accepted are our guests. And we also have invited the mayoral candidates to be on this program. And those who have invited, we've introduced them to you. So when we come back, we're going to meet Teresa Garcia, running for District 3. She's going to tell us her priorities and what makes her qualifications, her background, good for running as a city council member in the city of Albuquerque. We'll be back right after this. Stay with us. My guest, I'm going to introduce you to you right away, Teresa Garcia. Thank you so much for throwing your hat into the ring to run for city council.
Thank you.
And we're going to talk, and again, for accepting our invitation to introduce you to our audience here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
This video will also be on YouTube, and I know you have a very nice website. So actually, let's just start with that. I saw you in person, but I saw you in your website. Yeah. Where can we find out more about you, Teresa?
Yeah, so you can learn more about me on my website, as you mentioned, at www.teresa for District 3, and that's number 3.com.
Teresa is a volunteer as a commissioner for the Albuquerque Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Commission. Yes. Thank you for your volunteering. She also works full-time for the Maryland Coalition for Domestic Violence, working with digital media. And we appreciate that all you're doing in this realm. She is a graduate of University of New Mexico with a Bachelor of Science degree in biology and a minor in chemistry. You're also proud that you're a daughter of an immigrant and a Vietnam Air Force veteran.
Yes, ma'am.
Born and raised in El Paso.
Yep.
One of my favorite cities.
Yes,
a very safe city.
Yes.
And then again, been a resident here since 2009.
Yes, that's correct.
Working in this field. So that's what I read on your website. What would you like to share about your background that makes you suitable for a position of understanding our city
yeah.
and its needs?
Yes, of course. And so thank you, and first and foremost, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. So what makes me qualified? So you listed a few things about me, so I appreciate that. That's always part of my introduction. But I've lived in the Southwest Mesa for 15 years. Since I've been there, and I also have two boys that go to Atrisco Heritage Academy, and they are in public school. And so in my district in particular, we've had the same representatives in office for a very long time. Our state rep has been in office for 14 years. Our city councilor, current city councilor, has been in office for 12.
And is that incumbent continuing to run?
And yes, that is the incumbent that actually is running. Yes, correct. Her name is Clarissa Peña. She's running for another 4 years, and I decided to put my name in the hat. And the reason why I decided to run is if you go into the district here in the Southwest Mesa, we exist. We need a lot of infrastructure. We need more opportunity for economic development. 86% of my constituents are Hispanic, Latino community, and so we need to give opportunities for local business to thrive. We need better lighting, better roads, safer roads. I know crime is also a huge issue. And so there's just a number of things that are very much needed in District 3 that I look at my kids not even having sidewalks to walk to school, right? So that's huge for infrastructure development.
Well, what kind of roads are they? Paved roads?
Yeah, they're paved roads, but actually some of my district does not have paved roads, right? So that's another issue. And we are an older district that has a lot of sidewalks that are running up against each other, and so those improvements needs to be prioritized. And so there's
not making excuses, but it's a rural sense of community back there.
Yeah.
And having lived in Santa Fe, they say they love non-paved roads. They love dirt roads. The higher price houses are on the dirt roads because they don't want to hear the cars. But I mean, there's a sense of ruralness that you have.
Yeah, but I would actually say the latter. Community wants to have appropriate, better roads, better infrastructure, better sidewalks. We have an older generation that lives in my district that needs to have accessible sidewalks. I can't imagine them going up with a wheelchair, walking down the street with not being able to
But I think part
feel
of that,
safe,
though,
yeah.
if I'm wrong, Teresa, is the homeowner is responsible for the sidewalk
Yes.
outside, which is very
Thank you for
surprising if
naming
you have a
that.
corner lot.
Yeah.
You're responsible for not only maintaining,
Yeah.
but also putting in the sidewalk.
You are absolutely correct, and that's an issue that I want to address when I go into city council. My community is a poorer side of the district, and we need to support community for those infrastructures because a lot of them cannot afford it. So how do we, one of the main things that I want to do is change that ordinance to support community to be able to fix those sidewalks. Yeah,
It never kind of made sense to
Yeah.
me why
it's not
the
okay.
homeowner has to do that.
Right.
It's,
It puts a
the
huge
city
burden.
it puts a huge burden
Yeah.
on that resident. So has there ever been an attempt to change that ordinance?
Not that I'm aware of, no. But there, as I'm walking and also door knocking, which I'm doing majority of it myself because I want to meet with my constituents, they're letting me know about those issues, right? They reached out to the city, and the city then puts it on them to fix it, and they just need support. Clearly, they need support, and they're advocating for that to change, and that's what I look forward to doing.
Of course, they're taxpayers there as well. They're paying their
Absolutely.
taxes, but you're not receiving the infrastructure that the people want. Why is that,
Right.
Teresa?
Well, they tell us that there's no money, right? So when community reaches out about infrastructure developments, there is no money, but there's money to build a visitor center for $13 million that isn't being used at this moment, right?
Where's that visitor center?
That visitor center is on mile 9 on Central, all the way far down. Yeah, it's not really quite in community, but it's there and it's not open yet to community, right? So we're investing in developments such as that, $13 million plus more, right? It still needs to be maintained where that money could have really gone to community. My district lacks appropriate lighting for schools as they're crossing. Atrisco Heritage Academy doesn't have those lights when kids are crossing Dennis Chavez, and that's a huge major intersection.
You mean
Huge
they don't
danger.
have the blinking yellow lights?
No, they do not. Yeah. So things like that, and that's not the only school system, right? There's also other schools,
Isn't
charter
there a
schools.
requirement that they have those?
There should be. I completely agree with you. But if you take a photo and you drive down to 118th and Dennis Chavez, you will see that there's none of that, right? And a lot of them, like I said, lack sidewalks for kids to safely walk to school. Simple priorities and basic priorities like that are very much needed in my district. And that's
Have
what
you
I look
attended some
forward to
the
doing.
city council meetings yourself?
Absolutely, yes.
Tell me a little
Because
bit about
because I chair the Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Commission for the City of Albuquerque, I actually speak in front of City Council often, and I do attend because of the issues that they're addressing that impact me and my community. As I mentioned, my mother's from Parral, Chihuahua. I'm a daughter of an immigrant. So when we're talking about Sanctuary City, right, an immigrant-friendly city, I've spoken on that. So yes, I do attend City Council meetings often. That I listen in and try to stay, on top of what's being talked about. Yeah.
That's one of the questions I've asked candidates.
Okay.
Is regarding Sanctuary City. What is your position on Sanctuary City status? How do you define it? Why do we have it? And would you end Sanctuary City rights
Absolutely.
for people who commit crime? I didn't read the end of the sentence.
No, that's totally fine. I'm a daughter of an immigrant from Parral, Chihuahua. I absolutely 100% support immigrant-friendly policies for the city of Albuquerque. As I mentioned, my district is 86% Latino immigrant community. We need to make sure that the immigrant community has rights protected and they have the right to be here. Latina business owners are the leading business owners across the board. And, if they are committing crimes, then they should be held accountable, right? Whatever those steps are. But simply attacking somebody that speaks Spanish, looks Latino, is an immigrant, and then deporting them, I don't feel that that's the best use of city resources to then involve APD or BCSO to then, work with ICE. I would absolutely support that our city resources are not used for any immigration whatsoever.
Very good. What else? What other position would you like to share with the audience? That's you feel strongly about.
Yeah, so that's one of my major policies, right? And infrastructure, like I mentioned, we really need that in my district. Economic development; those are huge needs.
Now, what can we do about economic development, though?
Yes, so we need to work with the private and public sector, right? Like making sure that we are, so for example, 86% Latino, I know I keep bringing this up, but we don't even have a Costco, or we don't even have a Home Depot. We have to always travel out to go to large companies and organizations where we really don't have the opportunity for community to live in the district, work in the district, and actually thrive in the district. A lot of our community members have to leave the district to go to work where there isn't those local opportunities in my district. So how can we work with developers, right? That they're building these, economic development opportunities where they're hiring within the district and making sure that the community is supported and they're able to work in the district. So
why has that not happened in the past?
I'm not sure. I know that there was a Lowe's that was supposed to be built on Unser and Central. I'm not sure what happened there, but it did not go through, and community was quite upset about that, right? We need those businesses, either big businesses, big box companies, or even opportunities for local businesses to thrive in the district.
Do you have some local businesses on the West
Do I
Coast?
have a local coffee shop? No, I do not. I think that says enough. Yeah.
You have grocery stores.
We have Walmart. My community would love to have a Sprouts. They would love to have a Whole Foods. They would love to have a Costco. And we don't have that.
We don't have that. Tell me a little bit about your work with domestic violence and sexual assault.
Yeah.
Because that's your career, and you're volunteered with that.
Yes, I've been doing that, like I mentioned, statewide coalition work for the past 7 years. I used to be the New Mexico Coalition Against Domestic Violence Director of Training and Communications. I have now since transferred to the Maryland Coalition, where I'm also doing communications there and supporting our training along with all my other staff. And so it's about the same work. But in regards to the work that I do here, so I chair the Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Commission for the City of Albuquerque. I was appointed 3 years ago, and I chair that commission as lived experience, meaning I'm a survivor of domestic violence. And so I have been really proud of the work that our commission has been doing for the City of Albuquerque. We are working on which is going to come out, a brand new restraining order packet that is only one restraining order packet for the City of Albuquerque. There used to be 3 restraining order packets. BCSO had one, APD had one. So there was a number of them that had mixed information, so we addressed that. We are going to be releasing that. It's already been being implemented, but we're going to fully release it hopefully October, November, so stay tuned for that. And we are also working on a lethality assessment, which is an 11-question questionnaire for first responders as they go out to domestic violence calls. And they rate the survivor high, medium, or low. And so that way they can make sure that the survivor has wraparound services and increases the collaboration with domestic violence programs and APD and resources across the board. And we also work with ACS, which supports with emergency hoteling. So really our commission has intensified the coordinated community response with local services, systemic, and also our DV providers to make sure that we're providing the best service for survivors of domestic violence across the board and sexual assault survivors as well.
Is the problem growing, or we just hear more about it, or a more coordinated effort?
It's a more coordinated effort, which I really appreciate the creation of the DV Commission. Like I said, we've done really intentional work, and also working with Second Judicial, we've actually addressed a lot of the issues with the paperwork that they've had. So with the, how they're going to file and give the restraining order packet once it's issued to the offender. And so we were able to address some of that language, but it's really increased the coordination across the board systemically here in the City of Albuquerque, where we're doing really innovative things. And I think that speaks to the, the background that I have with coalition work and now doing it here for the City of Albuquerque. So it's been really exciting and really rewarding work.
Thank you for that. Thank you very much. And in addition to all of that, you want to run for city council.
Yes.
I understand the infrastructure. I mean, government doesn't provide, should, in my opinion, provide everything, but infrastructure is a basic. Infrastructure, because it's hard for a community to do it on its own, so we need government. Our taxes, we are still doing it through our taxes, but also safety is something government should be able to provide for us. How is the safety situation on the West Mesa?
Yeah, so the safety situation, they are building a new call center on 98th and Amole Mesa, right? For a long time, we've had not a lot of police presence in this district. There are a lot of petty crimes. We see that, and actually in my district, it's 40% of domestic violence cases come out of my district. Now, in regards to police response, let's address that because it's happening across the whole city. Even in the data that we've gathered for my commission, when people call 911 in my district, it either takes more than 4 hours for them to show up or they don't show up at all. So that's problem number one.
They don't show up at all.
They don't show up at all.
I thought there was a requirement from a 911 call to have them show up.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they're not showing up. So I also chaired the Southwest Community Policing Council. A lot of the concerns from community is that they do not show up. So let's have really transparent conversations with APD. What do they need to make sure that they feel supported in doing their job? And also, is it the hiring, right? Is there incentives for them to increase the hiring process for APD to make sure that when you call 911, you will have a response and you will feel supported and seen as a community member that pays their taxes?
Do you feel that's happening throughout the city or mainly on the south?
It's happening throughout the
Throughout
city.
the city.
Yeah.
But you said 40% of the domestic violence cases tend to be on
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Southwest Mesa.
Yes.
Why is that, Teresa?
I'm not sure why that is. I am not sure why that is.
And when they're calling, they're not.
And when they're calling, they're not answering.
So crime, mainly petty crime
Yeah.
around there?
Mm-hmm.
Not
And there's a lot of speeding, right? There's a lot of that, which community's upset about. And I understand because there's an Allsups that we just got, like finally a gas station, right? You can see that they're doing donuts in the parking lot. So things like that, community's upset about the speeding, also the noise, with cars driving by and they have like those big mufflers. But break-ins, stealing packages, you see that across the board throughout the city. But yeah, we need more protections when it comes to that, right?
Regarding, what about teen crime? We've heard so much. It just breaks your heart when you find children.
Yeah, actually, I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine that works at the DA office. I just left a meeting earlier today at the DA office talking about the lethality assessment, but we had a conversation about that. We know that a lot of teenage crimes are going up, right? But it goes back to how are we supporting them to make sure that they have the resources? Are they having the opportunity to go to a community center? Are they having the opportunity to make sure that if they join a sport, are they supported through that process, right? So keeping them involved and it's not always punishment. We need to really support our youth to make to let them know that we're here to support them and make sure that they succeed, right? I have two boys. I have a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old. They're biracial, right? We want to make sure that they feel protected and they feel seen. And a lot of it is how can the school support them when they're going to school and they recognize maybe one of the kids are having an issue? How do we really do it in a trauma-informed way and provide resources for them and not blame them, right?
What did your friend at the DA office say in your discussion about this?
Yeah, so we talked about that. We had a really in-depth conversation because I know that we do have like the detention centers, right? The youth detention centers when they commit those crimes.
But that's when they'll go in and learn more.
Yeah.
More tricks of the trade.
Yeah, and it concerns me, right? Because if we continue to expand these youth centers, the people that are going to be mostly affected are marginalized communities, right? Children of color. And I want to make sure that that is not something that's happening with community. I want to make sure everybody feels protected and feels safe. And instead of, there's a difference between renovating a youth a center like that rather than expanding it. But we really need to support our youth with feeling heard and supported with activities and making sure that they have the tools to succeed because they are our next generation, right?
You have a 15 and a 17-year-old?
I do.
Do you feel there's community support in your district? I mean,
do.
you as a parent probably are supplying that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But are their needs being met? And what more do they need?
Yeah, so their needs are being met to an extent. But at the school, I would say, let's invest more with our unions where they have trades being taught at schools. I think that's something that needs to be implemented across the board throughout the city. My son wants to do welding. They had welding at Etrisco Heritage Academy at some point, and then they eliminated it. And so how do we also collaborate with unions that want to teach people to put them into the workforce, right? Especially starting at a young age. My son Deshaun is also very much into mechanics. He did apply to the program. He was accepted to get his certification and was going to be going to CNM. Before school started and he was going to start his junior year, they actually eliminated the program because the coach or the teacher ended up having to, I guess, retire or something. So the program ended. But if we really invest in youth with having these programs at the school, it would really support them, especially if it deals with cars, welding, all of that cool stuff, especially with our boys. Hey, I think that would be a huge investment.
Those two cases affected your family.
Yes.
They were eliminated.
Yeah. Yep.
Did you voice that concern with anybody, Teresa?
Yes, we did. We talked to the school, trying to see if there's anything that could be done. And actually, I spoke about that with the unions when I had my conversations with them, as I'm running for office.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to build a collaboration there. So I did do an introduction, and I'm trying to see what we can do and what workaround to make sure that we can not only do it at Atrisco, but across the board at all of our schools to have the same opportunities.
It helps them train these people in the way they want to be trained. Amazing. Regarding housing and in your area and rent control, I know that's an issue before the city council, property owners who own rental property, having the city dictate to them how they control their property. What's your opinion about that?
So in District 3, let me start off with saying in District 3, we have a lot of single family homes, but we don't have a lot of diversified housing, right? Or mixed use housing. We need to have more affordable housing being built in the district and also have workforce housing. Rent control is obviously a very complicated issue, right? I think we need to come back to the board as the new city council and have conversations about what that looks like, because we want to make sure that community is protected and they have livable spaces to live in that they can, one, also afford, and two, like air AC. I know that was a huge concern, that a lot of these rental units didn't have AC. Like, how is that accessible and equitable to people living in something that, in a rental unit? We need to make sure that people are able to live in the rental unit and have what they need to live there, right? And thrive with their families. So we have to have conversations with that across the board, but I have spoken out about the rent, at city council.
Stating that...
that we need to make sure that community is also protected, right? When there's rental protections, we need to make sure that they're protected. But as I mentioned, it's a complicated issue because I understand how some people, even like myself, could maybe, rent my home out or whatnot to make a little bit of money at the end of the day, but like making sure that also my house isn't being completely destroyed and I have to go through the whole legal fee. So I think it's going to really take us to come together to have tenants and also landlords see if somebody is going through a hard time, like say you lost your job today and you can't pay rent for the next month. The result shouldn't just be immediate eviction. Let's work together with landlords and tenants to see what can be done. Does the city have incentives or anything that can support, or the state, right? So then that way they can find solutions together rather than making it this really like horrible situation for both parties. But yeah, it's like I said, it's a really complicated issue, but I'm really looking forward to have those conversations to find the best solutions that serves all of us.
Teresa Garcia, we just have a few minutes left, and you were excited when I kind of interrupted you. I said, is there anything else that you're passionate about that you'd like to see in addition to your infrastructure and the crime and the opportunities for young people? And you said you were about to say something. What else would you like to share?
I think just having innovative ideas and really bringing in what I have learned across the years is really that community collaboration across the board and systemic conversations that I feel has also kind of been missing for city council. A lot of us, when I attend, a lot of these decisions I feel are being made where community is not really in the know, or like they found out afterwards and then they're not really included in those conversations. So that's what I'm looking forward to do for my community, is make sure that everybody has a seat at the table and has a voice to the decisions being made, and not after the decision is made, if that makes sense. So there's not any decisions being made in silos. And like I mentioned before, I'm a daughter of an immigrant. I'm a daughter of a Vietnam War veteran. Those are two big issues for me, and I have two biracial children as well. And so I just want to make sure that our community feels seen and feels heard. And we do continue with those immigrant protections for our community.
Regarding the state fair location, it's a state, but it's in the city of Albuquerque. Any position on moving the state fair?
Oh gosh, yeah, that's kind of sad, right? Like this year we weren't able to go to the state fair even though we wanted to, and we were a little bit sad if they're going to move it and whatnot. But there's also concern with community there, right? With the gridlock and traffic, getting access to it, the location that it's at. So I hear it, and so I'm looking forward to having those conversations to find if it's going to move, where's the best place where it's going to be at. But I just hope it doesn't move out of Albuquerque. It needs to stay here.
But if it's not at that location, there's no other place. How about the West Mesa?
Yeah, well, I think they talked about the West Side. Yeah, they talked about a location in the West Side. But again, thinking about, is it going to also impact my community, right? So my community is always going to be forefront, right? So I need to make sure that my community is being heard in that. As we consider those, it might be an option, it might not, I don't know. But
is there
let's
land?
really be.
Is there land back?
Yes, there
There's
is.
a lot of land.
Yes, but we also have to think about water on my area, right? So I don't want to ever say yes to that and then not think about our environment with water and how much water it's going to take to build that, especially moving it over to the southwest side. That's
Have
a
you
huge
seen
decision.
changes on the west side? Are there a lot of Californians moving in there? They like the rural
No.
aspect.
No,
you know,
no,
they
no.
like.
No, not in my area. My area has a lot of older generation there. Families tends to stick in that area. It's a very quiet, beautiful place to live. I know people have their own assumptions about oh my gosh, it's in the Southwest Mesa or the South Valley. It's like, but it's not that way. It's very much like a family down there. We are all connected, and family that live there tend to stay there.
They do.
Yes.
What about the agricultural land? Is that changing? Are they developing more housing locations there? Because when I would visit, I would see a lot of rural area, a lot of crops, but then.
Yeah, but that's more like towards, that would be like more District 2, right? That has a little bit more. In my District 3, we don't have a lot of huge agricultural areas. However, we do have land that's available, but not so much agricultural. The one that you're probably thinking of is the one on Coors and Dennis Chavez in front of the big Walmart. That is still there and
your
still
District
thriving.
3, tell us where it is.
Yeah, so District 3 is going to be west of Coors, and it's going to be going north towards Central. So it's that before the I-40. Yeah.
Okay, great. And they can find more information about you, Teresa Garcia, running for District 3 and for the City Council, where?
Yes, and you can head to my website at www.teresaforddistrict3.com, and please follow me on social media. That is probably where you're going to hear and see the things immediately as they happen. We have 5 endorsements now, and so you can follow me at Teresa Garcia for New Mexico, and same thing for Facebook and Instagram, and you can also follow me on TikTok.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And soon to be on YouTube for KCHF TV.
Awesome.
Thank you for the effort and for all you've done for our community so far, and we wish you the best.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thanks for watching this program. I'm Diane Kinderwater. Make it a great week with your family. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. To comment on today's program, email us at info@kchftv.org or call us at 505-345-1991. Join us again for Issues and Answers with Diane Kinderwater.